and seemed to try to inseminate each other facially in the back seat while his father steered the car onto the expressway. Alicia and Rick had their whole married lives to exchange fluids and language, but for some reason they'd needed to wait until Paul was there to demonstrate how clandestine and porno they were. They had big secrets, as securely employed adults very well might. Plus, they wanted Paul to know that they were vibrantly, glistening sexual human beings, even in their late 30s, when most people's genitals turn dark and small, like shrunken heads, and airport trip be damned, because they couldn't just turn off their desire at will. Alone, they probably hated each other, Paul thought, masturbating in separate rooms, then reading in bed together on his and hers Kindles, ignoring the middle-aged fumes steaming under the duvet. Just another marriage burning through its 11th year. What's the anniversary stone for 11 years of marriage? A pebble? Paul sat and watched the outskirts of Cleveland bloom in his window as if endlessly delayed construction projects held professional interest for him. A village of concrete foundations filled with sand, rebar poking through like the breathing tubes of men buried alive. His father took the exit onto Monroe and the woozy hairpin up Cutler Road, which Paul had always loved because of the way the light suddenly dumped down on you as you pulled above the tree line. The city stretched below them. The whole skyline changed since he'd last visited 10 years ago. The old stone banks, Sovereign, Shelby, Citizens, squatted in the shadow of new blade-like towers that weren't half bad. They were tall and thin and black, hooked at their tops, and were either sheathed entirely in charcoal-tinted glass or simply windowless. Someone had actually hired real architects. Someone had decided not to rape the Cleveland skyline, and there must have been hell to pay. It was still a good 15 minutes to the house. The time for basic small talk had passed, so maybe it was okay to try big talk. Someone had to break the silence before they died of it, and Paul figured he might as well address the elephant in the room, or the elephant in the car, or whatever. Mom couldn't come? Oh, Paul, she wanted to, his father said, eyes dead on the road. She wanted to, and you prevented her? Paul said, laughing. You held her down? No, that's not it. His father frowned. Mom's resting, Paul, his sister said from the back seat. She's excited to see you, Rick added in a voice too loud for the car. Big Rick the righteous, the peacemaker, telling folks what they wanted to hear, making folks feel better since 1971. Thank you, Rick, Paul said without turning around. Now I know who to ask when I need to find out what my mother really feels. Rick was right. Paul's mother was waiting in her robe when he came in the door, and she rushed up, hugged him, kissed him, smothering him with love, while Paul stood there holding his bags. Oh, Paul! Hi, Mom. Paul! She cried again, grabbing his face, tilting back to see the whole huge mess of him. She looked so small inside her robe. You shaved! You shaved it off! I did, Paul said, stroking his chin, smirking. He suddenly felt proud. This was his mother's great gift, to make him feel good about absurdly common things, like grooming. Oh my goodness, you are so handsome! His mother was crying a little. She couldn't hug him enough. Paulie! This was nice. This was really nice. Morton, do you see how handsome your son is? Do you see? She studied Paul again, and he found that he could meet his mother's eyes, and it didn't feel terrible. He smiled at her, and meant it. He wanted to pick her up and run out in the street.